My amplified unit, salute! BC coming at you with a pre-record. A few topics that BC would like to discuss, like the Monday Night Raw rating for this week. On one hand, you might be shocked. On the other hand, you shouldn't be shocked at all. It's exactly what BC has been preaching to you guys for months and even years. And with all the bells and whistles now stripped away, right? You had Raw 30 a couple of weeks ago. You had the show leading into the Rumble. You had the post-Rumble show. And now we've settled back into the core Raw audience. And now you're starting to see the exact problem that BC was hoping wasn't going to rear its ugly head. But here it is. It's the exact problem with or without Monday Night Football. If you're not producing must-see TV on a consecutive, consistent basis, this is going to be the result. We're going to discuss that number, and this is a Monday Night Raw that BC felt was actually decent. Was it good? Hard-pressed to say, but far from bad. It was a decent show with some actual really good segments. But if the audience doesn't feel like they have to tune in from the jump, nobody's going to know about the good segments or that it was a decent show and that they should go back and check out some of these segments. No, they're not going to feel the need to unless they hear people like BC praise it, and then they go, oh, maybe I'll check it out on YouTube then. Maybe I'll see the highlights on WWE.com. No, you got to make them tune in live on cable television on their big screen. Ratings still matter. The NFL is up 10% on their ratings. Live event and live action sports, anything of the realm in entertainment, is actually up 6 to 9%. Why is WWE down? That's nothing to do with a lack of people watching cable television. You're just not giving them a reason to. Ratings still matter hugely. And here we are this week with the core audience, and we're going to talk about the rating, what it was, what it means, and how the fuck did we get here? How did we come to this number with no football? We're going to talk all about it. Before I do, man, I got to send some love, prayer, strength, support over to Jerry Lawler, his family, his friends, his loved ones. Jerry Lawler suffered a stroke, I believe, Monday night. And through Jim Ross, Dutch Mantel, and a few others, we've been hearing that his condition is not just stable, but it is getting better by the hour. Still slurred speech, still parts of his body that he cannot feel or move. That's to be expected with this type of thing. Strokes are no joke. A lot of people don't make it after they have a stroke, unfortunately. And a lot of people that do, they're never the same. Speech is impaired indefinitely, and or movement or even feeling. So to Jerry Lawler, to hear that he is already doing better, to hear that he's conscious, first of all, because a lot of people go into a straight coma for a long time if they even come out of it. So the fact that he's conscious and that the fact that he's actually talking and making improvements already, that is huge, guys. So we hope that this recovery and this rehab continues to go in the north direction. To Jerry Lawler, much love and respect. Our prayers, our thoughts, our strength, our support, our love is with you, your loved ones, at this time. Also, I want to talk over to JR9 Gaming, man. Salute to you. Your girl, JC Jane, had a big moment last night, man. When you said that Bailey was doing a ding-dong hello show, even though I couldn't catch all NXT, I said, I gotta catch that segment somehow. So, BC did that, and it was well done. Bailey was on NXT last night. She was trying to reconnect the 2/3 members left of Toxic Attraction, Gigi Dolan, JC Jane. And, of course, that got more severed during the Vengeance Day event, which I still have not seen the entirety of. And now here's the reconciling, right? They give each other a nice big hug. Bailey thinks she's done something special. And then it happened decades after the infamous, in some people's eyes, absolutely greatest of all time segments if you're BC. Marty Jannetty, Shawn Michaels. You guys know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you got to check it out. It's the Barber Shop. Brutus the Barber Beefcake's talk show. And Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty are reconciling their differences. Shawn Michaels and Marty give each other a big hug. Shawn Michaels holds up Marty's hand, and then Shawn Michaels delivers a super kick to Marty Jannetty. Picks up Jannetty and throws him through, face first, through the barber shop window. It was fucking epic for that time of WWE television when you're talking like those late 80s, maybe early 90s-ish. You didn't see things like that, and it was absolutely epic. So what happened last night, little bit of a spoiler, I still would recommend you guys check this out on your own. But what happened last night was they embrace Gigi and JC. JC holds up the arm of Gigi and delivers a super kick, just like Shawn Michaels delivered to Jannetty, and then picks up Dolan and chucks her through the Bayley's Ding Dong Hello door set. So there's just a door in the middle of the ring, which is always funny because Bayley actually uses it, even though there's no walls or not. It's just a door in the middle of the ring, and Bayley uses it to go through on her talk show. I think that's the greatest thing. So fucking JC does the super kick, just like Michaels Jannetty, picks up Gigi, just like Michaels did to Jannetty after the super kick, and just like Michaels threw Jannetty through the barbershop window, JC throws Gigi through the fucking door, Bayley's set door. And it doesn't go through all the way, so then JC takes her fucking boot and kicks Gigi right in the face, and then the door breaks open. I mean, it was pretty vicious. Gigi's already sporting some black eyes and shit from what I've been told. It was Shawn Michaels Jannetty on purpose, guys. It's not like, oh, they copied them. Of course they did, but it was on purpose. It was beautifully done. I thought it was epic, man. JC was the role of Shawn Michaels. Gigi's the role of Jannetty, and it was done beautifully, and NXT went off the air just like that. We don't need a match. Just have a fucking story unfold. Continue the story. I fucking loved it. So, Jared and I, man, JC, what a fucking moment. And it doesn't look, I know this was our concern in yesterday's stream, it doesn't look like she's joining Bayley. Maybe this is the start of that, but I just think a fourth member in Damage Control is going to weigh that group down even more than they already are, right? I saw a clip from The Bump earlier, and Damage Control was on it, and they were kind of making fun of their own name. And Dakota Kai's like, yes, we control Damage, and everybody starts laughing. That was on the show, The New Day. It was good to see Big E on there. Xavier was on there. Of course, the ultra beautiful Kayla Braxton. But everyone just starts laughing, and it's like, yeah, that's how we're looking at you as well, man. You're Damage Control? The only damage that needs to be controlled at this point is Bayley, Io, and Dakota. And the way they've been booked. You know, you see Bayley last night with Ding Dong Hello, and whether it's the old school Bayley in NXT, the hugger, or whether it's this heel character with her show, Bayley's really good at what she does. Really good in the ring. She's a good promo. She's got that spotlight appeal. There's a good aura around her. You know, it's just, if she had a good booking, man, we thought the sky was the limit at SummerSlam when Bayley, Io, and Dakota formed. And we were like, wow, this group is going to run through the women's division. And so far, the women's division has ran through them. Don't act like Io and Dakota with tag titles is something special when there's a non-existent division that they're champions of. You have to create the division. It's the same reason Sasha walked out twice. You know, once with Bayley and then once with Naomi. It's because she was lied to twice. And to this day, even with Sasha and Naomi gone, there's still no tag division. And Io and Dakota are tag champions of what? I would ask, of what? Right? I mean, Road Dogg is a WWE stooge these days, yet again. And even I saw a comment from Road Dogg that he doesn't know what they're doing with the women's titles. He would like to see something happen with them and something develop with the division. A division develop. There's a concept. It's fucking wild. You created titles and you never had a game plan. That's like creating an NFL team with no game plan. You got no fucking, you got no definitive or even finished roster. You don't have a playbook. You don't have a coaching staff, but let's go play a game on Sunday. That's what happened with the women's tag titles. They're not that much better than the men's titles in the way that they book that division as well. You got teams. The men's division has actual tag teams. They just throw them together in weird gauntlet match tag team matches or fucking 10-man tags. It's amazing that no care at all gets put into the tag team divisions. So that's a side rant of the rant there. It doesn't look like JC's joining Damage Control, which is one of our concerns. But JC, if she wasn't already, man, did she have her defining star moment last night. Anyway, we can go another 5 minutes on that. But to the topic that I actually wanted to discuss in a little bit more great length, and that is Monday Night Raw's rating this week, which was the final show rating for Monday Night Raw this week, a 1.866. If you guys are wondering, they lost another 200,000 plus viewers from last week's 2.1 plus, which that show lost 200 plus thousand viewers from the week previous, which was Raw 30, which pulled in 2.34. So since the heavily promoted Raw 30, which was also going into the Rumble, which is really kicking off Mania season, you had an hour-free, commercial-free hour, the whole first hour commercial-free, so you had so much. They threw everything at that show, and they pulled a 2.34. Now, on one hand, you say, well, fuck, they couldn't even get to the 2.5 that they should be pulling in right now, with or without Monday Night Football. But they did pull over 500,000 viewers from previous weeks. So that's still a big number from what they've been pulling. But absolutely, if you follow the trends, the numbers, the metrics, the statistics, if you follow it all, the 2.34 is still below the 2.5 they should be at. And we come up with the 2.5 just based on the trends, by the way. We didn't just pick that number because it's a nice whole number. Just like AEW, when we say 1 million, it's not just because it sounds good. We had to lower that bar. We had to move the goalpost for AEW because their low should be at 1.2. That's what all the numbers are pointing to. For some reason, they can't even get close to 1.2. So we had to lower that to 1 million. With the Jay Briscoe tribute show, they were able to hit 1 million. And then this past week, they were right back down to 900,000. 901,000, I believe. They beat 900,000 by 1,000 viewers, so they lost another 100,000, and it's right back to their niche 850 to 950. So when we say Raw should be at a 2.5, that's with or without Monday Night Football, because that's just with the amount of people still rocking cable and still wanting to see live event television on their big screen, and with the audience that pro wrestling still has or should have, 2.5 is what we've come up with, and they've been nowhere near it. So through NFL football season, through the last several months, the number that we've been getting from Raw consistently has been 1.5 to 1.7. A few times you hit a 1.4. A couple of times you were actually in the 1.8s. But consistently, you've been between 1.5 and 1.7 throughout NFL. Monday Night Football. And the big excuse that we kept hearing, nobody wanted to say it because Raw sucked, right? Nobody wanted to say that. Everybody just used the simplistic, lame, old-ass excuse of Monday Night Football is the reason. Every time Raw pulled a pathetic number because it was a horrendous show, the next day everybody came out and said, well, what do you expect? Nobody's going to beat football, basically. Nobody's going to beat Monday Night Football. It's not even about beating them, by the way. And that's a lie, because they used to rock Monday Night Football back in the day in the Attitude Era. Right? Vince Russo and all them, they never wanted to quit. They never wanted to produce a subpar show because it was Monday Night Football season. They went to rock Monday Night Football. They took viewers away. They were rocking 8s and 9s in the ratings. They loved to compete. They were having fun with those shows. So you're rocking 1.5 to 1.7 throughout the football season, and everybody is throwing WWE a mulligan for the entire season. Not just when there's a good game. All of Monday Night Football is used as an excuse, just like every holiday that is celebrated on a Monday or is reserved for a Monday. WWE gets a mulligan. They get the excuses. If there's a presidential speech, a debate, what do we just have? State of the Union. Whatever it is, WWE gets an excuse. So by that math, at least 30 to 35 weeks out of a 52-week calendar year, WWE gets a mulligan to these people because everything's an excuse. Over half the year, you will give them an excuse not to produce good television because you will let them off the hook by saying it's because of football. It was a presidential debate. It was a holiday. My grandfather had to go to the fucking dentist. Who the fuck knows? It's your birthday. You gotta go get fried chicken down at the local Stop and Shop. Therefore, WWE gets a mulligan because you weren't able to watch. Everything is an excuse. BC's over here going, no, even with football, you shouldn't be at a 1-5 to a 1-7. So, here we are, right? Now there's no more football. No more football at all. You got the Super Bowl on Sunday, that's it. But no more Monday Night Football. The only thing Monday night was a college basketball game, I think. And then some shows, some fucking weird shows on like TLC maybe, or fucking Bravo, who knows. That was it. That was their competition, all right? So now by their math, by the people that gave the excuse, WWE should be skyrocketed back to 2-2, 2-3 bare minimum, 2-4, 2-5, where they said they'd be rocking with football, without football, I should say. Okay? That didn't happen. We are at a 1.86. No football, no real competition. So you're telling me they were only able to get 100,000 viewers post Monday Night Football. That's what you waited all of the season for. All of Monday Night Football was so you can pull an extra 100,000 viewers? Just 2 weeks ago, Raw 30, first hour commercial free, heading into the Rumble. You had all of this publicity, all of this marketing. They threw everything at that show, and they pulled a 2.34. And then the very next week, last week, post Monday Night Raw show, or post Royal Rumble Monday Night Raw show, I should say, post Rumble. And they stay in the twos. They stay 2-1, but they lost over 200,000 viewers. So you're like, okay, for the next week, now there's not going to be any fucking Rumble talk. There's no Raw 30 talk. Now you're going to go back into your core audience. You're just hoping at this point you can stay above 2 million, right? Let's just try to stay above 2 and as close to 2.2 as we can get. And they couldn't even do that 1 week after all the bells and whistles. Here we are at a 1.86. They're right back to where they were during Monday Night Football. What's the excuse now? There's none. It's WrestleMania season. And mind you, BC liked this Raw. Was it good? Hard pressed to say it was good as a whole, but I'll absolutely say it was not bad. This was bare minimum decent with some damn good segments. Like Paul Heyman and Cody Rhodes. Loved Lita's shock return in the steel cage match. Loved Brock Lesnar coming out of nowhere unannounced. Loved the beginning of the show with Edge and Beth Phoenix looking like they're in their prime at their age, ready to rock out with Judgment Day. Dominic Mysterio, mommy, on her way down with the glam slam. There was so much of this show that I actually liked. The chemistry with Chelsea Green and Adam Pearce I'm actually liking. Even Rick Boogs and Miz are working for BC. I liked a lot of this show. But what that rating tells us is that fans didn't feel like they needed to tune in. They didn't think anything fun was even gonna happen on the show. And that's what I mean when I say consistency matters. You told your audience that if you don't have bells and whistles, if you don't have a label called Raw 30, if you don't give them commercial free to fucking soothe their attention spans, if it's not a big event like Royal Rumble, you give them no reason to care, right? It's a catch-22 if you think about it. It's a vicious cycle because you have the shock returns or the surprises like Lita and even Brock Lesnar unadvertised, but nobody was really watching it to see it. So then people like Vince McMahon or Triple H, they're thinking, okay, well, that's why we have to announce this shit so people will watch. But then when people are watching, they get all the announced advertisements, obviously. They get no surprises. They get no shock factor. So then they don't tune in the next week. So then when you try to give them the shock factor, when you try to give them surprises, nobody's tuning in because it wasn't announced. It's a vicious cycle, right? It's like the problem that AEW has, especially with the women. right? Tony Khan doesn't like to put his women on Dynamite, right? He usually puts them right before maybe the main event for 10 minutes tops, maybe 5 minutes. But he doesn't like to give them too much time because you see a drastic dip in their ratings. But he also knows that he's got to utilize the women for people to care about them. So it's a vicious cycle. If I use them, the rating's going to fucking drop. If I don't use them, I'm going to catch fucking hell for it, and I'll never develop a star for the ladies. So it's just a vicious cycle. They have to find the right recipe to make this meal complete. It's the same thing with WWE. You have to find a way to draw them in, but keep their attention. Clearly, Raw 30 didn't do that, and post-Raw last week did not do that. And it's a shame because, again, BC liked this show this week. But 450,000 viewers from just 2 weeks ago decided not to tune in. Or maybe I'll catch some clips on YouTube. Maybe I'll go to WWE.com. That's not how you want your audience to view. You want them tuning in live on their big screens at home. NFL is up 10% in their viewership. Live action, live sports, live theater, all of that is up 6 to 9%. Why is WWE RAW on the decline? Every year losing over 250,000 viewers. That's not acceptable. And for WWE, we give an excuse every fucking time. Oh, cable's going down, cord cutting, holidays, NFL. It's always something. Everybody else is going up. WWE seems to be fucking dropping. And again, it's a shame because you get to the third hour. If you guys break down the hours, for instance, hour number 1 of Raw pulled in a 1.96. By the time they got to hour 2, they pulled a 1.88. So roughly 80,000 viewers dropped off. And then by the time you got to hour 3, we pulled a 1.7 for WWE Raw. So they lost over 130,000 viewers getting into hour 3. And that's a shame because that means all those people didn't get to see Paul Heyman versus Cody Rhodes because they ditched out beforehand. They didn't think that the third hour was going to be worth it. They didn't care about the steel cage match maybe, which was the heavily advertised main event. So we're kind of at that place where how do you justify losing 450,000 viewers in just 2 weeks? You have to literally go to the drawing board bit by bit and see how you can possibly get them back. 450,000 viewers when we were told Monday Night Football was the reason. It's not because Raw's bad or not must-see TV or people don't feel the need to tune in. It's because of Monday Night Football, BC. And I said that's bullshit. And the big problem here, the biggest problem, guys, is what I've been preaching for months now throughout the NFL season. Throughout Monday Night Football. I said that we're getting so low now, and 1.5 became a norm for many weeks, and they even went into the 1.4s. And that's when BC started telling all you guys, man, and I would never bullshit you. I started saying, this is really bad because now, even when football's done, and even if a drastic audience was to come back to WWE, you're so low at a 1.4, 1.5 a lot of weeks, that even if you got 500,000 viewers to come back, that would only pitch you at a 1.9 sem-odd. We would still put you well below 2 million viewers with a massive 500,000 comeback. I told you guys, like, the biggest issue here, while everybody says, oh, it's Monday Night Football, they're not addressing the big issue. They're losing over 100,000 viewers by the week. By the time you went to the 1.9, to the 1.8, to the 1.7, to the 1.6, again, 1.5 many weeks, 1.4 several weeks. So even when football is done, I told you guys, if you think you're going anywhere near 2.5 with a show that doesn't have bells and whistles like Raw 30, which didn't even pull 2.4, by the way, and then drastically lost 200,000 since then every week, you're not even coming close to 2.5. Can you even hang on or hang around 2.2? Clearly, that is not the case. They can't even fuck with 2 million. A 1.8 Just a week removed from Royal Rumble with no NFL football competition. That's what I've been trying to say. Week after week, month after month, I raised the red flag and the alarm. I said, guys, the biggest issue now is they're going so low for so many consecutive weeks that they're not going to be able to retrieve all of those viewers. They're not going to be able to get them back. When people start missing out on a show that many weeks, it becomes a new trend. It becomes their new normal. They've missed the show that many weeks. They don't feel the need to come back. They don't have to watch it again. They now know that there's life beyond that silly show, right? So all those viewers, they stopped watching for so many weeks that when it comes time, there's no more football. You think they're just going to go, I'm going to start watching again. No football. A lot of those people weren't even watching football. They just stopped watching the show. And I told you guys it's going to be really hard to get all of those people back. And they didn't. We're just a week removed from Rumble. And they're high. For a show that was decent, by the way, is a 1.86. That tells you that people don't care. So now WWE just made their work harder for themselves because they went through so many months of piss poor television. And a lot of those weeks, they did phone it in. And they just said, it's football. We got an excuse anyway with a large part of our audience. So fuck it. And they just put together shit show after shit show after shit show until the rating got so low that here we are now. We're pumping up the volume for WrestleMania season. You had a pretty damn decent show. But a chunk of your audience never even had a chance to see it. 1.86 to see Cody and Paul Heyman's masterpiece, Lita's big cage match return, Brock Lesnar unannounced shock return, or at least a surprise, Beth Phoenix and Edge looking fucking diesel and in their prime. You know, and it's actually sad. I don't take any fucking pleasure in these type of discussions. I really don't. They're discussions that have to be had. You know, that's the problem that I told you guys WWE was going to have and be entrusted into if they don't change it months ago. And they never changed it. They just kept business status quo. Here we are post-football. Here we are Mania season. And our biggest rating is a 1.8. The same thing we've been pulling through Monday Night Football with the 1.6s and 7s. And that's post-Royal Rumble shows. It's not good. So now, from here on out, you got to take the show that we just had Monday, and you got to amplify it even more. I said it was decent bare minimum with some good segments. Now you got to produce a top-to-bottom good show through Mania season. Let's go. We know you got a pulse. We saw it this past Monday. We know there's a lifeline still in you, right? So now utilize it, man. Start right now. It's Wednesday. There's still Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So there's 5 days before the next Monday Night Raw. You call all hands on deck, get your ducks in a row, and start rocking that shit out amplified style. And you rock out a top-to-bottom show that is can't miss. You have a couple of announced big surprises, and you have some surprises lined up. Doesn't have to be superstar return. Surprises can be a plethora of things, but you have some announced big things to capture our attention, and then you have some big surprises in store during the show. You get a big main event, you get some storylines rocking, storylines with an S, many, and we are rocking into WrestleMania. And I assure you, if you start doing that now, it should have been done last week, last month, last year, but if you start doing that consistently, people will take notice that that's a show that is must-see. That's a show I probably shouldn't miss, or at least I have to try to catch 1 to 2 of the 3 hours, and they will bump up. And that first hour will be 2.1 maybe. Hour 2 will dip into the 195s, and you'll at least be in the 1.8s during third hour, at least, which will bump you up over 2 million and closer to 2.1. A little bit, just a tiny bit more respectable. But it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take more work than WWE needed to do, but they let this problem go on for too long. It's like if your job had a fucking pipe that bursts and you see that it's leaking, right? You can see like the interior of the wall is like getting fucking wetter and fucking moldier and it's spreading, but you don't do anything. You're hoping it's just going to stay like that. and the water break, it fixed itself maybe, right? Because you're telling yourself it's not getting that drastically bad that quickly. But no, over time, it's getting more and more. And then one day when everybody's fucking home, everybody's off of work, and it's a cold day, 5 degrees below, and that water break just fucking collapses. Water everywhere. You show up to work and your place is flooded. Now you have a bigger problem than you could have had. Once you saw the water in the walls and the mold starting to go and it start to spread, that's when you make the right decisions and calls and you get it fixed, so that you don't have to make 37 times the work for yourself. Make things harder for yourself. No, now you're showing up to work and you have a flood. Everything you have destroyed. Getting to your fucking desk is impossible, or you gotta swim the fucking Nile. Why let things get so bad? If you have a cough for 3 days and you hope it gets better, but you wait 6 days, it gets worse, then you still don't go to see anybody. It's 9 fucking days, it gets even worse. 12 days, you're fucking basically down on the ground crawling to get water. After 2 fucking weeks, you're on your fucking back, moaning, screaming, hell, I can't flip over. You're like a fucking turtle. And then after 3 weeks, you finally show up and the doc tells you, well, shit, you're on your fucking last leg. Well, if you just went 2.5 weeks earlier, maybe you could have been done all right. Why let things get so fucking stupidly bad? WWE had everything in the palm of their fucking hands. The problems were fucking magnified and they should have been fixed. Now, here they are having to fix this fucking ratings issue and make sure that they have an audience over 2 million going into Mania. Could you imagine if you show up to Mania month, and you can't even pull 2 million viewers for your Monday Night Raw show? That is not good, and that is pathetic. And I really hope that they fix this issue now, man. Not happy with that rating at all, but I'm not shocked. It was a decent Raw, but you gave your audience no fucking reason to feel the need to tune into it. Fix that shit. And with AEW tonight, I can't say that's any fucking better. I saw the card. If that card excites you, I saw a fucking ad from AEW. They're like, wow, tonight's card is like a pay-per-view. And I'm like, fucking Rush and Bryan Danielson. I see like Britt Baker versus Bunny or some shit like that. I'm like, what are you talking? You got fucking a 6-man tag match. Acclaimed in Gun Club. It's like, what are you, Jericho's in some type of a gauntlet thing? Pay-per-view for what? The local bingo hall would fucking make me more interested. I don't know what these shows are doing, man. I really don't. But you're going to have to find the right combination of making people tune in, and then when they tune in, keep them invested. And at the end of the show, you make them want to see next week too. That's it. That's what I got, man. I could go another half an hour on, obviously. You could get me talking about numbers, and we stay amplified. But we got a lot of business to attend to. So, got a couple more coffees too, and whoop that ass. And I hope you guys do the same. If not the coffees, at least whip that ass, man. Get those fucking muscles banging out, and let's rock amplified style. Top guy, I'm out. BC saying check you.